But fortunately for me, all you have to do is say pony 100 different ways. You go, pony, 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 pony. That's it. I mean, it's funny. I love Oron so much. Isn't it wonderful? It's so much fun. You know what? Let me tell you guys the Oron story real quick. There was this girl named Caitlin Glass. For those of you who don't know who Caitlin is, you should. She played Winry in Full Metal, and then she currently directed Oron, and she played Haruhi. Now, here's the thing. About 2 years ago, maybe more, Caitlin said, she called me one day and she goes, Vic, you totally have to see a couple of episodes of this series. Somebody just gave me this series, and it is the cutest, funniest thing I've ever seen. It's called Oron High School Host Club, and you totally need to see it. And I'm like, okay, where would I see it? She said, I have like 3 or 4 episodes on a disc. I'll give it to you next time you come up to Funimation to record. So I went up there, and she gave me this disc, and I took it back to my hotel room, and I put it in, and I watched it, and I was like, oh my God, this is really funny. And of course, I instantly fell in love with Tamaki. I thought, oh, I want to be Tamaki. What was really funny is that Caitlin told me, completely independent, she goes, you know what, Vic, when I watched this show, the first thing I thought was, oh, that's Vic. I mean, Vic is Tamaki. He plays the piano, and he thinks he's romantic, and then he's a dork. And so I'm like, I don't know how to take that, Caitlin. But here's the thing, you guys. At the time that I fell in love with this show and wanted to be Tamaki, Funimation didn't even own the license. The show wasn't licensed. It could have gone to Canada. It could go to LA, some studio in LA. It could have gone a number of places, and I would have never had the chance to even be part of it. So what I often tell people is I committed the cardinal sin of an actor. I fell in love with a role before I got it. Because you know, you're like jinxing yourself. You're like, oh, I just completely jinxed myself right out of this. And Caitlin really wanted to direct it. She didn't even think about playing Haruhi at the time. She just wanted to direct the show. And she had just started directing at Funimation. And so I was always going up to Caitlin and going, hey, go right now and tell the powers that be, if we ever get Oron, I want to direct it. I mean, start campaigning right now. She did, okay? And that was a long time ago. And so she did. She was always talking it up, always talking it up. Everybody at Funimation knew that she wanted to direct Oron. This was before it was even licensed. Then Funimation licensed it. So it was one step closer to my dream. And then they named Caitlin as the director. And she was like flying. She was so excited. Now, some of you may think, oh, Vic, this is a shoo-in. Caitlin's your friend. She knows you want to play Tamaki. She told you you were Tamaki. You're going to play Tamaki. It's done. That's what you would think. But, you know, if you think about it long enough, maybe just the opposite is true. Caitlin was so concerned that people would think that she only cast me because I was her friend, she would never do that. She would never want anybody going, oh, Vic sucked as Tamaki. She just gave him the role because he's her friend and he like probably pressured her, blah, blah, blah. So Caitlin told me that. She's like, Vic, you're going to have to audition like everybody else, and I'm going to do what's best for the show. I love you like a brother, but I'm going to make this show the best it can be, and whatever that ends up being. And so I went and auditioned, and when I walked into audition, Caitlin goes, all right, we know who you want to read for. Go ahead, get in the booth, and give me your best Tamaki. So I did it, and then she said, do you want to read for anybody else? And I was like, somebody else? Yeah, okay, I'll read for Kyoya. I'll read for one of the twins. Because I didn't want to be anybody else. And so it kind of like took me by surprise when she said that. So I left, and I mean just on pins and needles. By the way, I'm sorry about the heat in here, you guys, and thank you for, I know it makes it uncomfortable, but thank you for bearing it. I hope so. I hope so. The good news is we're all in it together. Cause I mean, I'm hot too. No. Get your minds out of the gutter. So I was at Kauai Con in Hawaii last year, and I got the phone call from Caitlin that she had chosen me to play Tamaki, and I was like soaring. I was so excited. And every line, never before in any show that I've ever done, was I so aware of what I was a part of. Most of the time I've been a part of shows that I didn't even realize how special they were until I was done and I watched them like, wow, this was a great show, and I didn't even realize it. But with Oron, I knew what an amazing show it was. So every line that I recorded, I savored. You know what I mean? I just, I love this show so much. And I would sit there, every once in a while I would sit there, here's my little Tom thing. I would sit there and I would look at, in between lines, I would be waiting for the engineer to do something, and I would be looking at the screen, at Tamaki, of course, going, and I would look at him and I would go, I'm recording more. I was so crazy to answer. Well, my favorite episode was the episode when Tamaki met Killia for the first time. I just loved that episode, and I love when you find out more about the character's background, you know? Because they're so funny, and they're so crazy and wacky, and they get you laughing, and you kind of let your guard down. And then all of a sudden they go, and they hit you with this serious, heavy backstory, and you're like, oh, God, I love him so much. So, I love Oron Mansfield. Okay, yes. More than that. You know, it's funny because so many people just know about my voice acting work, but you know what? I've been producing and singing for twice as long as I've been voice acting. Ever since I was about 17, I started writing songs, and I would sing. I sang in church and then in school, and then I learned to play the piano, and I'd write songs and stuff. But I've got a lot of background in music. I've written hundreds of jingles and scores for TV and radio and documentaries, and I brought some CDs, some music. I know a lot of you got them at the autograph signing earlier today. I didn't bring enough, clearly, because once again, I'm a dork. I blew that, didn't I? But they are available as well. There. So, RisableRangers.com. And my CDs are now on iTunes. Wow.
I wanted to ask if you could do the Everett LLC things that go in the human. One of the first ones you did.
Oh, wow. I wish I knew those. The big list of ingredients and stuff. I wish I knew what they were. When I read it, it reminded me of, like, chemistry class. Who do I think would win? Well, first of all, I think they would be friends. Why? Because they're both good guys. Because Ed's a good guy, and he doesn't want to really hurt anybody, and Dark's a cool, sexy beast. So I think that they would get along. But if they had to fight,
Edward.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Really glad you're here. Okay. Now hold on to this for a minute. Wow. I don't see them ever fighting because they're good guys. I think Dark would win. And I think Dark would win because Ed couldn't bring himself to hurt Dark. That's what I think. You know, because remember the fight with Greed? Like, he couldn't believe he actually killed him, and he was, like, really upset by the fact that he did it. So let's see. According to this, water, 35 liters. Carbon, 20 kilograms. Ammonia, 4 liters. Lime, 1.5 kilograms. Phosphorus, 800 grams. Salt, 250 grams. Saltpeter, 100 grams. Sulfur, 80 grams. Fluorine, 7.5 grams. Iron, 3 grams. And trace amounts of other elements.